Korra broke the avatar cycle is something lots of people love to say to justify Korra hate.
And she severed the connection to all the past avatars. She's a bum!
She ended the entire avatar cycle, which means the next avatar can only communicate with her, which is basically useless.
But today, I'm gonna break down the Korra broke the cycle iceberg. To start off, I will say that traditionally an iceberg starts with things that are obvious and common knowledge, and the lower you go, the deeper it gets. This video will be in the same formation and will consist of 5 levels, with the 6th being the conclusion. Let's start off with the tip of the iceberg, the wording. So this is not a problem with everyone, but some of the clips I showed at the start demonstrate this. So saying Korra broke the cycle is obviously very wrong. For example, if I take a vase and shatter it on purpose, I'm the one who broke it, right? Now if I slam my foot into a table and a vase falls from it and shatters, did I break that vase? Well, I did. Maybe by mistake, but I still did it. Now if someone tells me he's going to break that vase and I do my best to protect it, but at the end I'm on the floor not being able to move and in excruciating pain while I watch him shatter the vase right in front of me, did I break it? Well, according to some Korra haters, I definitely did. Now I know some of you guys will say, okay, well maybe she didn't break it, but her actions are what led up to it. And to that I say, let's explore the second level of the iceberg. Was it actions or not? So in general, this is something a lot of Korra haters love to say. Everything that happened to her was an aftermath of her own actions. Now of course that's a ludicrous claim, but it doesn't mean it's wrong in this specific case. So was Korra at fault for losing the past lives? Well, indirectly of course she were, but so were about 1,000 other people. But what's the difference between directly and indirectly? For example, Korra is definitely at fault for whatever keeping the portals open leads to. If it happens directly, then she's directly responsible, like humans being able to move between the south and the north quicker than ever. If it happened as a result, but not directly because of it, like to Koga, then she's indirectly responsible for it. So let's see if she's directly responsible for losing the past lives. So everything starts from choosing to learn from Unalaq. And this is for some odd reason something that Korra haters really love to cling on to, but she's completely justified for initially going with Unalaq. Watch the video I made about it to see why, but in short, she needed to expand her spiritual training. Unalaq was the most qualified person, as well as someone she personally knew, as well as someone that Zuko and Tonraq worked with, and the entire 2 tribes almost respected, as demonstrated in episode 1. Now, it's true that she is a direct fault for Vaatu being released, although she did try to stop it, in which she failed, but that's not what made her lose the past lives. She actually easily handled Vaatu. It indirectly led to it, with Vaatu and Unalaq fusing and later pulling a red card move on her. Don't forget, since episode 4 she didn't do anything Unalaq told her to, and since episode 9 she did her best to close the portals in time. Well, arguably since episode 8. Is it the best thing in retrospect? No, but she did what she could with the limited knowledge she had at the time. So maybe Korra is responsible for it, but not directly. And definitely not as directly as other people like Unalaq, Vaatu, Eska, and Desna. Blaming Korra for losing the cycle is just like blaming Aang, Katara, and Toph for the Equalist Revolution, like blaming Roku for the 100-Year War, like blaming Kyoshi for the Fire Nation's conquer of Ba Sing Se, and like blaming Wan for the loss of the past lives. So maybe Korra wasn't completely at fault, but she still played a part in losing the past lives. Now let's inspect another case, and on the way I'll answer a question I've never seen someone answer. Why did Aang need to go through Guru Patik's instructions to unlock the Avatar state while no other Avatar had to? Let's look at the third level of the iceberg, initial comparison. So this will be the first of 2 parts, talking about how the 2 instances of Aang dying and Korra losing the past lives compare, with this first one being about did Aang's actions lead up directly into him losing the past lives, or is it more indirect, similar to Korra's case. Now I can't believe I have to say this, but Aang died and the cycle temporarily ended, and the way he died was in battle, getting shot by Azula using her lightning bending. Now as I promised last part, I will explain why Aang had to go through Guru Patik's instructions to unlock the Avatar state while no other Avatar had to. So the reason is he actually couldn't bend all 4 elements yet, as we learned from Korra unlocking her own avatar state at the end of Season 1. Now, it's true that Aang was able to produce fire in Season 1 Episode 16, The Deserter, but he wasn't able to earthbend at the time. And by Season 2 Episode 9, Bitter Work, when he finally learns earthbending, he possibly can't firebend anymore, as he visibly can't do it in Season 3 Episode 13, The Firebending Masters. He also didn't want to either. Now, in Korra's case, she actually could bend all the elements technically, but they just wouldn't come out of her body, since her chi pads were twisted by Amon. If she genuinely lost her bending, then Amon would have to be an energy bender, which he wasn't. All he did was mess up the chi pads. Think about someone who has a fork but doesn't have tines against someone who doesn't have a fork at all. The guy with the fork is still not able to use it since he doesn't have tines, but he does technically have a fork. Another possibility is he could actually unlock it, but he just wasn't aware. Similar to how Korra wasn't aware she could do it until the very end. But bottom line, he had to go through Guru Patik's instructions to unlock his avatar state. And when he made the decision to leave before opening the thought chakra, he knew it would lead to him not being able to go to the avatar state at all.
By choosing attachment, you have locked the chakra. If you leave now, you won't be able to go into the avatar state at all.
And by that took responsibility for what would result because of it, whether directly or indirectly. Now that decision is the reason he died, as if he would unlock the avatar state with Guru Patik, then the catacombs fight would end in no time. And even if he wouldn't instantly win, he would still not need to spend time focusing on opening the last chakra, which means Azula wouldn't be able to sneak him, and he wouldn't die, and the cycle wouldn't end. So by taking responsibility for what it would lead to, and by it directly leading to him dying, because he had to spend time in the catacombs for it, resulting in giving Azula time to sneak behind him and kill him, then Aang is responsible for the cycle ending, more than Korra was responsible for losing the past lives. Okay, so we saw how in comparison Aang's actions directly led to him getting killed in the avatar state, unlike Korra's actions who were more indirect. But now let's see why comparing the two instances isn't even fair. Let's dive into the 4th level of the iceberg, the sheer numbers. So we saw how Korra is not a direct fault for losing the cycle, and how Aang had more direct effect on his death than Korra. But now let's see why comparing the two instances isn't even fair. Okay, so for starters, there is obviously a huge difference between who caused Korra to lose the past lives and between who killed Aang. The person who killed Aang is a 14-year-old firebender. Now, of course, Azula is a skilled firebender, but that doesn't change the fact that she's 14. She had no real motivation for doing what she did other than winning a war. She didn't have anything against the Avatar as a whole, just against the fact that Aang was a threat to her nation. On the other hand, the person who caused Korra to lose the past lives is about 40 years old and he is a waterbending master. Similar to Azula, he is also royalty, but he had far more time to train on his element. Other than that, he also spent the last 20 plus years of his life dedicated to forming a plan on how to end the Avatar cycle, and he also had knowledge like no other human had. Like, that's a big difference. Oh wait, sorry. I say I made a mistake here. The person who took the past lives from Korra wasn't who I just said. It was actually the spirit of chaos and darkness that has since the dawn of time wanted to kill the spirit that was in Korra. And he was stronger than ever before, as he was able to develop a technique while trapped in the Tree of Time that he literally spammed against Korra. Wait, but I swear the first one I said had something to do with it. Hold on. Let me check on Google real quick. Oh yeah, they were actually both merged together. Yep. A waterbending master who studied for 20 plus years waiting for this moment, together with the spirit of chaos and darkness with newfound powers and complete hatred for the spirit that Korra had. Against a 14. So yeah, not only did Azula come in without a plan or goal other than not to lose the fight while Unalaq has been plotting his every move for 20 plus years, he also had every single advantage when it comes to bending. And people still want to tell me that comparing the two makes sense. Okay, so we saw how saying Korra broke the cycle is insanely dumb, we saw how the two instances actually showed that Korra was less at fault than Aang, and now we saw why even comparing the two is unfair for Korra. But this next part I won't even give an introduction to because of how crazy it is. Or should I say, how audacious. Okay, so just to emphasize the point I made in the first part, the fact that people would even try to accuse Korra of breaking the connection or ending the connection or severing the connection is very foolish. Like, imagine Korra, who was about to end her own life if it wasn't for Aang showing up and giving her hope, which led to her unlocking her own avatar state and restoring her own bending. Or like when Avatar 1 helped her stop the world from literally entering an age of darkness for 10,000 years. Why would she ever do anything to that connection willingly? It's like, imagine if Avatar 1 just woke up one day when he's 60 and said, well, Rava, you helped me become the most powerful human in history, and together we saved the world, and did all of these amazing things, but you know what, I'm sick of you, so goodbye now, and would break the cycle. Like, that would never happen. It's like, imagine Aang telling Roku, like, oh, you helped me figure out about the comet and by that saved the world from burning down, and you helped me save the North Pole, and then you played a part in me not drowning to death, and then you did your best to help me learn from your mistakes, but nah, I don't care about that, I'm gonna break the connection. It's like, why would any avatar ever... Oh my god. So let me get this straight. People blame Korra for breaking the connection to the past lives, although she literally has no direct responsibility in it, as we saw in part 2. But they won't talk about Aang literally breaking his connection to Roku with his own two hands. And you know what's even worse? With Korra, we see how she is instantly affected by what happened and apologizes, although it wasn't even her fault directly, while Aang doesn't even acknowledge it as a mistake, even after time has passed, when he was confronted by Yang Chen, whose connection was also severely weakened because of Aang's decision, by the way. He's only sorry when Roku is in front of him again and he has no choice but to apologize. Korra haters have a lot of stupid double standards they set, as I exposed and will keep exposing, but this one is probably the biggest. So, in part 1 we saw how saying Korra broke or ended or severed the connection is dumb. In part 2 we saw how her actions aren't directly the reason she lost the connection. In part 3 we saw how Aang had a more direct responsibility for the cycle ending than Korra had for losing the connection. In part 4 we saw how comparing the two wouldn't be fair even if they were both as indirect, which they weren't. And in part 5 we saw how the whole topic is a big double standard set by fake Avatar fans to justify hating Korra. So what is the purpose of this video? Is it to hate on Aang? Is it to justify Korra's actions? Well, no, it's neither of them. It's to make people understand that The Legend of Korra is a good show and Korra is a good avatar. And that if you are a person that never gave it a chance and are just chanting stuff you've seen online, and you should stop being a sheep and think for yourself. Or just let me brainwash you into loving Korra, for which you will need to subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.